Growth comes from the printing press of the central banks, not from an economy, not from a middle class, not from productivity, and not from individuals. With this technology, the central banks like the Federal Reserve are able to manipulate the value of the money we earn and our savings, all at the touch of a button. The objective is control. Deep and menacing control over humanity by the hands of the few. George Orwell's 1984 said it best. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to get into China. We're going to get into the US. We're going to talk about gold. Stay with me. First, beginning with this. We pledge allegiance to an international flag. This is a picture drawn up by some kindergarten students. And of course, it's just a little exercise, something at school here. But this all interconnects with the real agenda. If you're interested more into this, you need to read The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte Thompson Iserby. It's amazing. It's so in-depth. You will be incredibly educated after reading just this one book. I highly recommend it. It's really big, the font is really small, but the knowledge is so vast. Let's move on. U.S. trade deficit widens as exports hit a 5.5-year low. Nothing's wrong. Nothing is wrong. That's constantly what I hear. Everything is fine. Shut up. All the time I get this. But look at the facts. We are in the financial crisis part 2. I'm a broken record. This is now called the Broken Record GPS. I'm changing the channel name. The U.S. trade deficit widened more than expected in January as a strong dollar and weak global demand helped to push exports to a more than 5.5-year low, suggesting trade will continue to weigh on economic growth in the first quarter. That's certainly one of the reasons, but there's just global instability at this time. Corporations are worried. The Commerce Department said on Friday that the trade gap increased 2.2%. nearing at above 50 billion there. And that was from previously reported 43 billion, all about expectations, as I've said before. Exports have declined 4 straight months. So remember that whenever you see any sort of statistic, never jump the gun on it. Never jump to conclusions, in fact. You need to see a trend. Now, 4 straight months in a row where exports have declined. That's a trend that is growing, and we're going to definitely keep our eyes on that. It is extremely crucial. Look at the trade deficits. Look at all of the debt that's being accumulated. Look at the imports. Look at the exports. Look at all of the different shipping type statistics that we've covered here before. Very important to note those. All interconnected together. This is big news here out of Bloomberg. China set a range for its economic growth target for the first time in more than 2 decades as it grapples with rising debt, tumbling stocks, and capital outflows that have spurred unease about the nation's economic prospects. I've covered it here on this channel before, but just like the GDP of every other nation, China's GDP is false. It's not true. They have done actual recalculations of it based on best estimates. And if I'm not mistaken, it was under 4% or around that 4% mark. And I'm sure it's gone down ever since. The market has really gone down significantly in China. But of course, just so we're clear, it's still growing in relation to the West, obviously, but it's not bulletproof. Nothing is bulletproof. That's what people don't really want to understand. They want to be able to put their money into something and have that sound advice, sound information, and hold onto it like a little baby with their blanket. But that's not the world. It's never been like that. Nothing has ever gone up consistently forever. Everything has its cycle. Some are short, some are long. The 6.5% to 7% growth range allowing for a slower expansion than last year's target of about 7% was given on Saturday. China's proactive fiscal policy will be forceful and the yuan exchange rate will be, quote, basically stable as flexibility is increased, the government said. They're suggesting this is the way things are going to go. I think that things will change in a matter of time, in fact. The slowest growth in 25 years has prompted officials to tweak monetary policy to prudent with a slight easing bias. Oh, sure, they're going to have to continue to expand on that just like others. And look at this. The central bank cut the ratio of reserves banks must have. So what do they do every single time? When times get tough, they expand. When they want growth to be picked up, they expand. Every single time they do it all the same. All central banks have the same policies, just at different rates, different intensities. Here we go. Gold is back in a bull market for the first time since 2013 as concerns about global growth rise. So it hit $12.72 an ounce. And this is obviously important for those who are invested in gold. But for those most likely watching this channel, they have gold bullion. They have coins. They have silver coins. And these people, you listening, probably didn't sell any of your gold. So did you necessarily care that it went down to $1,000 approximately? That it's gone up to $1,200? Some do. Some intend to sell. But I would, at least from the Money GPS standpoint, it is crucial to have some precious metals in your portfolio. It's one of the asset classes. Precious metals are one of the asset classes. So, in fact, you should have some. Now, should you put all your eggs into one basket, as they say? Absolutely not. Nothing's foolproof. Gold is not foolproof, although it is extremely stable over long periods of time. It's going to give you something that you can pass down from generation to generation. But don't believe what all of these people who generally are selling precious metals in some way, shape, or form, whether they work for the corporation or company or whether it is in some sort of affiliate scheme, that they say that it's going to go up to $50,000, $20,000 an ounce. It may, but don't believe it. Don't put all of your savings into something thinking it's going to go up. That's not part of the Money GPS strategy, not something I teach here. I teach sound advice. It's better, instead of having a 401k, for example, have solar panels. Take the seeds from the food that you eat, throw them in your garden, and watch what happens. That's free, essentially. There's so many things that either don't cost you anything, like getting spring water from a spring. Go to findaspring.com and planting the seeds that you're eating, plant them into your garden. That's free. Having water catch systems, which essentially, once it's set up, it's free. There's so many things that don't cost any money that are going to give you that stability that you need, and then you can buy things like gold and silver and real estate and everything else. That's the Money GPS strategy. I'm off on a tangent right now. I'll have a whole video covering the Money GPS strategy one of these days. The new cash hoarders, negative interest rates have the law-abiding scrambling for bills. It gets into some details about what's happening here, but essentially, when you introduce negative interest rates, what are people going to do? They're going to take their money out of the banking system. Then, what do they do with that? Do they then invest in the stock market? Do they buy something tangible with it? A lot of people are stuffing it under the mattress right now, and that is very interesting to see, but it doesn't really surprise me. Out of the New York Times, in a significant consolidation of movie theater holdings, AMC Entertainment will acquire Carmike Cinemas for about $737 million in cash, forming the country's largest chain with more than 600 theaters. That's a big deal, and what's important about this is China's influence on the media at this point. This could be very interesting, to say the least, over the next few years as we see it all sort of being integrated. Will there be censorship? Many have said that there already is some level of censorship in the US media from China's point of view here. So let's keep our eyes on this. It is very interesting to see how China is purchasing corporations, they're purchasing land, different businesses, real estate, and slowly but surely becoming the biggest investor. So let's see what happens with that. This is just a side note, something that I wanted to bring to your attention here. We're talking about Fukushima. Now, generally, I have a whole health video about this, but it's interesting that this is still going on. And they found a few things. So without getting into the details of Fukushima, I'm sure everyone knows about it. But the environment is getting destroyed. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is important. It's real. So radiation spread over a wide area and forced tens of thousands of people to flee from their homes. And basically what they say is that there's vast stocks of radiation, meaning that forests cannot be decontaminated. There's signs of mutations in trees, and DNA damaged worms were beginning to appear. Apparent increases in growth mutations of fir trees, irritable mutations in pale blue grass butterfly populations, and DNA damaged worms in highly contaminated areas. They've been hiding this for so long, but what do you think? Do you think it's just that one little area that's affected? No, it's the entire ecosystem, and it's still spilling out onto the entire world. It's making its way around. I don't care who denies it. Look at this area, and then if it's even a direct situation here, Japan as a whole exports to other nations. So this does find its way around, even if you don't believe in the obvious ways with the trade winds, with it spilling into the oceans. I mean, it's pretty obvious with all this data. It's very frustrating to see people who deny it. It's really silly. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I'm still working on the Q&A videos. I'm going to be posting those. Have no fear, they'll be coming up shortly. I've answered all the questions. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. You can look through the book. Just head over to Amazon. They have a look inside feature, which will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.